Welcome to the Mighty Mecha Nerd Review Show, where you get to watch me as I've been tasked to review and learn about all the various mecha in existence. Today's episode, I welcome you to the Giant Robot Tournament Battle Olympics, where all the various countries of the world battle each other with giant robots in a fight to rule the world and space. Mobile Fighter G Gundam. First, for some background information. G Gundam was released in Japan in 1994 and was brought over to US shores in 2002, 8 years later, to the wonderful network, Cartoon Network. G Gundam was directed by Yasuhiro Imagawa, I believe. Yes. And he made it his very own Gundam, unlike anything else that came before it. This was the very first Gundam not to be in the Universal Century timeline. Instead, it was in what has come to be known as the Future Century timeline, or FC, I guess. This was the very first super robot Gundam, with crazy wild powers. It was wildly eccentric and a great trip. Now to go a little bit more in depth. G Gundam is of course a giant robot tournament style anime, and has many of the traditional things associated with tournament battle animes, such as many of those who you fight at the beginning become your friends as the series progresses. But that's to be expected. Well, at least now. Back at the time, it was a bit more original of an idea. 1994 is 20 years ago. Good God, I'm old. But it also was, at the time, a pretty original idea. I don't believe there were any other tournament-style giant robot anime at the time. And I don't really know if there's that many now. Now, it does have some problems with the plot here and there, but nothing major. It is, for all intents and purposes, pretty interesting. We do have the tournament battle as the background and driver, but it's not really what the whole thing's about. It's mostly about Domon Kashu, our main hero and character. Hero at the beginning is a bit of an odd word, but he's definitely a hero as the show progresses. When you first brought in to see him, he just seems to be kind of not a nice guy, but that idea doesn't last very long. But other than tournament battle fighting, we have the whole idea of there being the Dark Gundam. Ooh. Yeah, these names are kind of silly. But that's why it makes it so great. Oh yeah, I tell you, this is probably the corniest Gundam of all time. One of the corniest anime I've ever seen. Well, mecha anime. There's a few cornier ones, but this is pretty corny. But it's great. But we have the Dark Gundam, which is this giant, ridiculously Deus Ex Machina-like Gundam. That used to be the Ultimate Gundam, but whatever. Well, technically, he's the Ultimate Gundam still. But has all these ridiculous powers to propagate itself, repair itself, and ugh. But the idea is that Domon's looking for his brother, who supposedly stole the Dark Gundam and went to Earth with it. You'll see how correct that is if you watch the show. But it's the Dark Gundam's evil. It's great big evil pants. But we have the battle between Domon and the forces of the Dark Army as a really big plot point. But still, there's the big tournament going on. Oh, and let me remind you, this is a tournament between a bunch of different giant robots and people who battle them, who are quite stereotypical representations of their nations. There's some interesting things. Spike Gundam. Ugh, that thing's silly as heck. There's Toro Gundam, and there, we'll talk about Gundams themselves later. Ugh, they're so weird. It's great. But the idea is that they go through this whole big tournament where the winner of the tournament, their nation gets to rule the world and space, because most of the really powerful nations went to space and made colonies that look freaking ridiculous. The New York colony has a freaking giant Statue of Liberty, and I can't even. They're silly. It's so great. The director really made this thing his own, and it's so different than everything else. Oh my god. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. But, then let's go to the different characters in the show. We have Domon Kashu from Neo Japan. Oh yeah, all the countries are Neo. This country. It's... Oh my god. But Domon Kashu, he's a hero. He's looking to find his brother, Kyoji. You're gonna hear that line a lot. And he's got the Shining Gundam. It's pretty rockin', the Shining Gundam. It's pretty rockin'. But, he seems to be a pretty rude, hot-headed, traditional anime protagonist. He's very, very angry. But as his arc progresses, he learns to control his anger and channel that into true power. The tropes here are wonderful. And then his sidekick, for companion, I guess? Rain. What was their last name? Rain Mikamura. I couldn't remember. I feel bad. But she's his sidekick, childhood friend, you know, all that jazz. Love story, childhood friends? Oh yeah. However, she's not just a damsel in distress. She does get cast in that role a couple times, but she's actually really cool. She's a really good mechanic. She fixes the Shining Gundam when it gets broken, which is really rad. And she's a medical doctor. Well, nurse? She didn't quite make it through school from what I got through. Very close, but didn't quite make it. They make her a doctor without a degree? Blackjack? No, wait, he had a degree, just a license. She's pretty cool. She pilots the Gundams. She pilots the Shining Gundam several times throughout the series. And she shows that she can kick some ass. It's really great. Now let's go to some of the opponent characters first. Let's start with Chibody Crockett of Neo America. Oh my god, is this guy American? Just, America! Yeah, that, you know the song. But, so much America. Gundam is a freaking footballer with boxing gloves. It's, oh my god. this is so great. I can't, oh my god. But no, he's actually a pretty complex and interesting character. He goes through a lot of development. We see he has a pretty tragic background. Some of it's a little spoilery, so maybe I'll talk about it in another video. Some of that. Some of the spoilery stuff will probably be in a different video if I do that video. I haven't decided yet. But he's super American. His name is Chibody Crockett, for God's sake. American dream is his way of life and everything. He wants to bring back prosperity to America, have everyone be able to live the American dream. But he's also rude and hot-headed. He's very much like Domon, for some sense. He's also a bit of a womanizer. He has an entire group of girls who travel with him, who are the Chibody chicks? Chibody gals? Something like that. Who are also pretty dang cool. They had an interesting past. They have some interesting thievery and sort of skills with guns and stuff. It's pretty cool. Chibidy's a boxer. Just watch the show for him. Then Neo-France. George Dasand is so stereotypical in so many ways. He's the proud fighter of love and pride in his country. Um, he reflects all those values so much, all the time. And his Gundam, well, we'll discuss that later. But he was one of the first people to really give Domon a hard time. It was great. And the roses and stereotypes everywhere. Stereotypes everywhere. Then Neo China, we have Sai Saishi. I can barely even pronounce that name.